Hello everyone and welcome to a new IK video. This is Kincaid, and I know it's been so long since we talked about Water March. The March is so weak right now, as everyone knows. However, I got a word that maybe in the future a new Immortals will be added into the Water team that's gonna make it a bit better. Maybe the Dragon will receive few adjustments regarding their skills and talents. However, before we get any kind of these changes, let's talk about the Water March build. To be more specific, a build that can actually beat any kind of fire marches. So let's just dive in. So let's take a look at where exactly did we get these reports. I tried to make it as fair as possible, as I explained on one of my previous videos. This is why we're in a blue territory and Piake is in PRD, the Red Alliance, I'm in Buns, the Green Alliance. So this is where we took the report in this resource style, to be specific. And the reason for that, not to make use of any of the territorial, either home turf or minimize losses. So for home turf, the fighting in Alliance territory, Immortals attack plus 20% and minimize losses only gonna affect the seriously wounded. It decreases them by 20%. As for the Water, this is the build that I used in all the battle reports. I'm gonna talk about each and every skill in more details. So let's start by Malice. Malice is definitely the most important skill to use against fire marches, because we all know that fire is all built around the critical damage. So decreasing the crit rate for all the fire immortals by 20% is actually a huge loss for them, not to mention the amount of resilience that you usually get. So I expect everyone who's actually willing or building a march that is planning to use against a fire march, I expect that you have a max resilience nodes in the dragon, and of course using Malice as I explained. As for no escape, energy suppression, and resist, I see all these three skills in actually working in the same direction. So fire marches is known for their insane energy regain. Looking at all the fire immortals that we have, Cyrus have 122 energy regain speed, and as for an immortal such as Hippolyta, I believe she's a bit higher than Cyrus, 124, and I think Empress Wu is the same as Hippolyta, 124. So it's actually the fastest energy regain when it comes to a march in a whole. For example, there's some fast immortals like maybe the Shadow one to Maris, and there's the new Chaos Immortal. However, it's not the entire march that has this insane energy regain. This is why when you're building against a fire march, you need to keep in mind energy suppression and no escape to slow down the fire march at the beginning of the fight. The reason for that, because we all know that Water is actually supposed to beat fire on papers. However, this is not the case for most fights, because most of the time you actually will lose the fight in the first 12 seconds because of how quickly the energy regain for the fire immortals. So you need to slow this down. This is why you need to start by energy suppression, no escape, and resist, just in case they actually managed to get a cast in the first 18 seconds of the battle. So during the battle, 3 of your random allied unit troops will receive minus 50% magical damage for 18 seconds. This is one of the best skills to use against fire marches if they are using an immortal such as Empress Wu. As for Attila, ironically, Attila is the main source of damage in these kind of fights. He's the main DPS and the carry in the fight. I'm using Executioner, I'm using Fighting Master because I don't want him to get controlled by Cyrus, and I'm using Blade Vortex, and we're gonna all see how much damage he usually does. I'm using Spell Disintegrator, Concentration, Demonic Contract, and the reason I'm using both these skills is that Merlin's ultimate skill is so huge when it comes to his own damage. I mean, if you're gonna use Merlin for damage along with Ditto, that means that his ultimate skill is gonna do insane amounts of damage if he survived. So I'm using Assist on Ditto to make sure that to protect Merlin, and at the same time I'm using a skills to boost his ultimate skill, which is Demonic Contract and Concentration. I didn't want to use a skill such as Battle Stance because he might actually die before he gets to cast the first ultimate skill of his, because of Battle Stance. It's gonna slow him down by 20 seconds. I mean, after 20 seconds, he will start regaining energy. So let's take a look at the battle reports that we just had. I did 4 different reports. The first two reports I was attacking, and this is how it went. You can see Attila actually survived. This is all thanks to his magical defense. Attack Immortals are known for their high magical defense. I mean, I know he got a high physical defense here, but this is thanks to the exclusive artifact. You see I have a 9% bonus physical defense in my artifact that I'm using, but usually Attack Immortals have a higher magical defense compared to their physical defense. Not sure what is wrong with these Immortals. She also has a high physical defense in the artifact. But anyway, Attack Immortals have a high magical defense. This is why in this scenario you can see Attila have a higher HP compared to the other Immortals. And the only reason Merlin have this high HP is also because of assist. And you can see the main damage will always be Attila. You can see that Blade Vortex, Executioner, and Wild Caution did insane amount of damage. 34 million in this battle report here. We're gonna watch the replay, and I need you to notice, guys, how quickly, I mean, how slow the Fire March will be because of all the skills that I'm using. Even though I'm using these skills, you will notice that they started to regain energy already, even way faster than my Water Immortals, and they will start dealing damage after 13 seconds of the fight. This is why I decided to use a skill such as Resist. So the reason for water being weak against fire marches is how slow they are against fire marches. This is the only reason that fire can beat water, even though water is supposed to beat fire. All right. Here we go. So this was the first one. This was attacking. You can see the death ratio was actually quite close. However, there was a gap and they're seriously wounded. In this one here, you can see that it was kind of better for me. I believe Dragon did some freeze, actually one attempt. I believe this was either Hippolyta or maybe Empress Wu. And you can see the main source of damage again is Attila, Blade Vortex, Executioner. Merlin casted his own skill maybe twice. On the other side, you can see Hippolyta did actually quite the damage. Empress Wu didn't do that much damage. The reason Empress Wu is actually lacking or underperforming in these kind of scenarios because I'm using Resist. Here, this was the only report that I lost. I was defending in this one here, and you can see Merlin actually died so quickly. Let's switch the replay. So for the first 6 seconds, they're not actually gonna regain energy. However, after the 6 seconds pass, you see how quickly they are gaining their energy, even though I'm using energy suppression. So Merlin did not cast his own ultimate skill yet. This was the first cast and he's already dead. So he did one cast of his ultimate skill and then he died. Then Attila will keep surviving because of his higher defensive stats, and he will keep dealing damage with Blade Vortex and Executioner. On the last report, this was a win for me, and this is how it went. You can see Merlin actually managed to survive in this fight here. This is why he's actually did some damage even close to Attila. And Attila is using Blade Vortex again, Executioner, while Caution did some decent damage here. What could we change to make this better? I believe that we could use a skill such as Guard in order to protect Attila, but then that means Ragnar will be so vulnerable against an immortal such as Empress Wu with his low magical defense. He will die so quickly. So I'm not actually a fan of using Guard on Ragnar against fire marches, at least. And I'm I'm not sure about Merlin. Maybe you could remove demonic contract because it slows him down at the beginning. I know Merlin have a low energy regain, but slowing him down with such skill, I'm not sure if it's actually worth it. Maybe we can use Oakengard somewhere here. But so far, in my opinion, I believe this is the best build to deal with fire marches. I know water is my third march, so the port rates are actually lacking compared to Byakuya's fire, since it is his second march, and he invested a lot in his fire march. I mean, if you look at the setup, I mean, his march is at 590, and my water with all these skills is not even past 550. So this is everything I wanted to talk about regarding fire and water. If you have any suggestions regarding the skills or the setups, don't forget to mention them down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and have a wonderful day.